much better. Isn't that wonderful? It is for me, because now I can continue to tutor and do more videos. So this video will be on high-risk students and why you guys keep failing NCLEX over and over again. So I'm just going to briefly talk about who are the high-risk students and the problems that you guys are having. So this all started because I got an email actually from a student who, she is from the Philippines and she was a nurse over there. She tried to come here and she's been taking NCLEX, I think she's taken it 4 times and she's failed it. And she's basically asking me what's the problem, what she needs to do. She has all these resources, all these books, and you know, she's trying to figure out why she keeps failing. This is the same kind of phone calls that I get on a regular basis. All the time students call me and tell me their story, okay? And in the beginning, I can kind of identify that these are high-risk students, all right? So what are high-risk students? High-risk students are, number 1, international students. If you studied abroad somewhere other than America and you've gotten your degree in nursing there and you try to come over here and take our NCLEX without having some sort of formal preparation, you're not going to do well, okay? Number 2, non-traditional students. Non-traditional students are students who have children, okay? You have 3 or 4 children at home. If you're married, if you're over the age of 23, okay? So that's pretty much a lot of people can be considered non-traditional students. But the reason why it's causing you to be high risk is because you have all these other environmental things going on that prohibits you from focusing entirely on NCLEX like you need to be when you're at home studying. All right. Also add in to the non-traditional students who typically have full-time jobs. If you have a full-time job, you're working 8 hours a day or 12 hours a day, and when you come home, you have half an hour or an hour to study for NCLEX, you're in big trouble, all right, because you're exhausted from working. If English is your second language, okay, if you're watching these videos and you don't know half of the words that I'm saying, then you're high risk for NCLEX. You're not going to pass it if you don't get help. Right? That's simple. If you've taken NCLEX more than 2 times already, you're high risk. All right? NCLEX assumes that when it's time for you to take the boards, you have all the time in the world to study. This is your number 1 priority. They don't take into account if you have failed it already. They don't take into account if you have a 6-month-old at home. They don't care if you work 12 hours a day, 9 days a week. And the reason why I'm doing this video is because a lot of you are buying Remar Review. A lot of you high-risk students are buying Remar Review, and you think that just because you get my information that you're automatically going to pass without having to address these other issues. So you're not doing well, okay? And I'm having to tell you, you can't take NCLEX yet, all right? So my system is simple. Yes, it's very simple, but it's not magic. All right, it won't go in the NCLEX exam and do everything for you. You have to put in the work. When the high-risk students buy my package, I end up having to call them over and over again. Hey, can you tutor today? Hey, why are you canceling again? Can we sit down and talk about the homework I gave you? All right, so I just want to let you guys know that if you have some of these issues, they have to be addressed. All right, so my tip, you have to find a quiet place. And that seems really simple, but it's hard to do when you have a full house. It's hard to do when you're working. You have to dedicate quiet time to studying for NCLEX. NCLEX puts an enormous amount of stress on an individual, all right, whether you're traditional or non-traditional. And it's hard to retain information when you're at such a high level of stress, no matter how smart you are, no matter how simplified the information is. So you have to make it as easy on yourself as possible. Number 2 tip, get rid of those resources that you have that are not working for you. All right, if you call me and you say, I've taken NCLEX 4 times and I'm using this book and this book and this book, I'm going to tell you, okay, those things are not working for you. Put them away. Number 3, tip number 3, you got to spend money. I mean, you got to spend money to get prepared. Some of you are calling me and saying, well, $285, that's too high. All right, it is. It's expensive. It's not cheap. All right, I know that. But I also know that in California, people are doing the same thing I'm doing for $580. Not to say that, oh, you got to take mine, but what I'm saying is you're going to have to spend the money to get prepared. You spent the money to go to nursing school to prepare for your job as a nurse. NCLEX, you got to spend the money to do it. I mean, it's cheaper than you having to constantly reapply for NCLEX. A guy called me today and I couldn't believe how much it was, how much he had to spend to retake this test. And still he wanted to buy my review. Fourth tip that I have is you have to put in the work. All right? There's no easy way to do this. To study, you have to do your part so that you can be successful. And you guys can do it. Okay? It's not impossible. You can do it, but identify if you're high risk or not and start working on the steps to improve your NCLEX process this time. And I'm talking about specifically when it comes to studying and retaining information. All right? So, see you guys soon. Bye-bye.